Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dr. Obi. I'm a researcher, educator, and consultant in cybersecurity, data, and AI ethics. Today's video is part 2 of our series in learning AI governance. In part 1, I talked about the 3 compartments of knowledge that you need to make sense of AI ethics. So in this video, I am going to go a little deeper into one of the categories, which is the compartment on frameworks and regulations knowledge. Now, AI is broad and evolving. There are many frameworks available to guide how AI is built, deployed, and used responsibly. And knowing these frameworks is part of the core knowledge you need in the field of AI ethics and governance. But the problem that I find, and you may have noticed this yourself, is that some of the models or some of the frameworks are broad. Take the NIST AI framework, for example. There's a lot to read and grasp. Now, and I'll do a deeper dive on that sometime in the future. But today, I want to talk about a specific framework that many others build upon. One that has been around since 2011 and that has been used in high-stakes industries like finance. The reason I like this framework and want to use this as a starting AI framework is because it's simpler to digest. It's a standard that has been used for more than a decade to regulate how machine learning models are built, tested, and verified. So I want to begin with this one. It is called the SR 11.7. Even though it's a powerful framework, it is surprisingly underused. Like I said earlier, it's been used for over a decade in finance. So if you're interviewing for a governance role and a recruiter says to you, tell me how you validate model risk, you can channel this particular framework in responding to that question. This is a framework you want to have in your toolkit. All right, so let's start from the basics with what is SR 11.7. The SR there means supervision and regulation. The 11 in SR 11.7 refers to the year, which was 2011, right? The 11 in it. And the 7 refers to the 7th of the letters or these guidance that was created. It's a series of guidance that's created in a year, and the 7 just means it is the 7th one in that series for that year. So together, SR 11.7 really talks about supervisory guidance on model risk management. So whenever I say model risk management, MRM, it's the SR 11 that I'm talking about. It was issued by the US Federal Reserve and the Office of the Comptroller of Currency, OCC, in 2011 after the financial crisis. It defines how organizations should build, validate, and govern their models so that people don't trust blindly the outputs that come from it that could cause harm. As you can imagine, the SR 11.7 wasn't written for the AI, the kind and the veracity of the AI applications that we're using today, but it absolutely applies. Why? Because AI systems are models. If it ingests data and logic to make decisions like a chatbot, a fraud detection tool, or a resume screener, it's a model. And if it's a model, it comes with model risks. That's where SR 11.7 shines. It gives us 3 clear pillars with which to manage AI risks. So the first pillar revolves around how a model should be built. And the second pillar revolves around how a model is validated. And the third is how a model is governed. Let's describe each one further. Pillar 1 is about model development, implementation, and use. On this pillar, we define the model's purpose, making sure that the data that is used for the model is representative, making sure to test edge cases and clearly document what the model is used for and what it's not supposed to be used for, or what it wasn't built to be used for. So if one is building a credit scoring model, for example, you define what it's allowed to be used for. If it's not approved for mortgage lending, for example, that needs to be clearly documented. This is where tools like model cards and data sheets come in handy, and I'll talk about that later. Pillar 2 is about model validation. This is where you validate the model independently. You monitor continuously. You check for fairness, accuracy, and model drift. For example, if an AI system flags a transaction as likely fraud, question is, are those flags accurate across demographics? Do humans override it often? Now, here are things to remember in Pillar 2. It's not a one-time check, and validation must be done by independent people outside the developers. And it must also track accuracy and performance across different groups. On this pillar, we ask questions like, are users overriding the model? Is there a place for users to override the model? Are outcomes drifting? Is bias showing up over time? Pillar 3 is around governance. This pillar is about understanding the human systems that govern an AI system. Who owns what? Who approves what? Who approves the new model? What happens when something goes wrong? Who owns the model? Who is responsible for the model? Who is accountable? Questions like that must be answered by the organization. So in this pillar, it specifies that the organization should have a governance model that spells all these things out. So let's break it down just a little bit more. So with this governance model, you need to have a model owner. That is a person who documents the model and tracks its performance. You need a validator, a person who is independent and stress tests the model. You need an AI governance committee to approve high-risk models and coordinate across legal and ethics teams. You need an internal audit and compliance team to make sure controls are followed. And lastly, there needs to be an executive sponsor who owns the risk strategy and governance direction. Now, this is for a big team. For a small team, you might find that only one person wears multiple hats. Only one person does all of these things, but it doesn't really matter. The responsibility still needs to be clearly articulated. Now, I talked about a model card previously, and you might be asking, so what's a model card? It's a short document that tells people and tells everyone what the model does, what data it uses, and how well it performs, and where it could fail. This is an example of a model card that has a model name. For example, Resume Analyzer GPT. It reviews resumes and scores them for recruiters. It was trained on public and internal resume data. It underperforms on non-traditional formats. Its performance aligns with human reviewers 85% of the time. It requires human review for final decision. Now, this is pillar 1 in action. You might be asking, how do I use all of this in my career? In an interview, this is where you might refer to your understanding of the SR 11.7 framework, adding things like that you can apply the 3 pillars to a model. On your resume, you could include things like you're familiar with the SR 11.7 model risk management for applications in AI validation and governance. So if you're transitioning from finance or compliance, SR 11.7 is your bridge into AI. So say a company is using ChatGPT to draft customer emails. This is a very simple example. You would use SR 11.7 to document prompt safety, validate output tone, and assign content owners. Or say you are working in a fintech company that's building a credit model. These are all very simple examples. You would use SR 11.7 to document prohibited uses. Question for you, are AI systems models? Yes, they are. AI systems are models, so we ought to treat them as models. What this means is that SR 11.7 then gives us the structure and accountability and risk visibility. If you can speak this language, you're already ahead. So here's what to do next. Go ahead and download the SR 11.7. This is one of the frameworks that is freely available for you, and practice using it with a model card. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and share this video with someone transitioning into AI governance. Until next time, keep learning and keep leading. Thanks for watching.